All right, so we have our beautiful Miss Winnie in. So we're just gonna warm up with our fun find it with orientation back to the handler. She's like, where'd it go? That one did fall in the crack. That was so sad. So let's say she's off and doing some find its, and then we're gonna try and work a little bit with that recall. There we go, she's almost got it. She's gotta use her sniffer. Winnie, come. Yes. So again, really great way to create this lovely orientation to you from the environment and kind of getting her up and about and wiggling. And then from there, recalling her to you. So if, let's say, there's a moment where you don't get to mention the recall, don't worry, but I'd go ahead and feed for the engagement towards you. So find it. And then Winnie, come. Yes, nice job. And her little treats are perfect. I know you mentioned she was a little gassy last time. She may have swiped a couple little treats here and there from some of the others when I have sometimes given snacks throughout when they're together. So I'm sorry that she got a little bit gassy. If, again, your puppy does have sensitivity, just let me know. I'd be more than happy to make sure I'm only giving her her goodies, which I've tried to be a little bit better today. So just in case for the tummy. Nice. Yes, good job. So I'm using her little goodies instead of some of the other friends. Ready? Find it. Or even some of mine, I mean. Winnie, come. Yes, great job. So we'll do another one. Ready? Find it. I know they get so pooped out, I bet, after coming to class. Yes. So even if you weren't ready, I would still always capture these great moments where she orients back to you from the environment. So you're creating a lot of great value in you being the main target in the setup. So for a lot of puppies, and again, if we're doing some loose leash walking, I don't care if she's on the left or the right. The main part is that we're feeding, if it stays in her mouth, we're feeding the moments where she's by the side. So for some of this lovely loose leash walking, I do highly recommend to start off without the leash, because for a lot of puppies and for people, it's like one more thing to hold on to. This doesn't mean to go ahead and participate in a not safe place to do so. So what I mean by that is, obviously if you're in your front yard, it's not fenced in. Most of us would be very cautious if we're near dangerous things like roadways or distractions or potentially other loose dogs or livestock or whatever it could be for a visual distraction. So for right now, we'd want to rock this in our yard if it's fenced in. If it's not, you could be letting her drag a longer training lead where you're still giving her this great option of doing a find it from the environment and then coming back into your space. So with her little snacks, I'm just ripping them up into itty bitty little morsels. Yes. So and right now we're just building, sorry, my darn sweatshirt, like I like it, but it like rides up with the microphone and it feels a bit weird. So I had to adjust a little bit. So hopefully I'm not making tons of noises every time I move my sweatshirt. This is really pretty. So I'm just making these a little tinier for her. Because out of those one little round snack, I probably make like another 4. So you guys, do think about your food as coming in variety in the sense of value. So higher value snacks could be like cold cuts, string cheese, hot dogs, whatever your puppy can tolerate though. And then lower sort of medium sized or medium value, I think, snacks could be like jerkies or training treats or treats that are still sort of moist and stinky. And then lower end would be like kibble, crunchy treats, carrots, depending on the dog. Ready? Find it. So I'm just giving her a little break from doing the loose leash walk-in next to me with a couple little find it moments. She's like, I don't know where that one went. Good check-in. So as we're practicing a little bit with this loose leash walk-in, ready? Nice. We might sometimes go and practice a little bit with a little sit. Yes. And don't worry if it's not the most pristine, like right by your side sit. The main goal is you're getting sometimes a little stopping position. Ready? Sit. Because a lot of times puppies, yes, if they only work the sits in front of you, which I know I was mentioning earlier about how to help generalize skills, is if the sitting only happens while they're in front of you, it's very confusing for them to magically learn skills next to you or in other positions. So I would highly recommend to work the gorgeous gal with practicing skills on the sides as well. Ready? So I might use my hand as that visual, get a little sit. Yes. She and Bodhi like to sit a little bit more like kitty cornered. Nice. Ready? Let's go. Good job. So her loose leash walking is looking very pretty. So if again, you can rock this also with a leash on. Oops, she's like, where'd it go? Sorry, it rolled. She's like, I almost had it. And if you can rock this with a leash on as well, that would be wonderful. I would recommend like I did a little earlier with Miss R working those leave-its, is you want to have your leash in the opposite side of where you're feeding. So if you're working your gorgeous guy or gal on the left side, I'd recommend to have the food coming from the left side. And then that way you can kind of help your puppy be to that side and stay there. If you're sometimes feeding across your body, what ends up happening is the puppies are constantly trying to cut in front of you to reach the snack hand. So you could be rocking it. Oh, I think she lost one of those canines. She still has the other little baby one I can see right next to the other one. Sometimes too, if there's ever puppy teeth that get stuck, during the spay, which sometimes is more like the 18 months to 2 years, depending on what your vet might recommend or your breeder might recommend, is there have been a lot of cases now where waiting to alter until they're a little bit more fully developed is beneficial for them. But you can, again, do whatever you think is appropriate for you in your situation. But I would, before altering a puppy very young, is look at the pros and cons to both areas. Just like with us, we are technically left intact. I'm not saying that we want to have more baby puppies everywhere. But you may find that allowing her to fully develop and then be done and then mature physically and mentally and then alter to be much better. Going in, for example, altering while she's still a baby means that those so the growth and her development might change because those sex hormones technically do affect others. So you may find that altering her when she's, again, a baby will sometimes make bones not as dense or other issues pop up. So it is one of those things, check with your vet, do some research, see what seems comfortable for you. But this is, again, I've mentioned it in the past, is for the first time ever, I have an intact dog at my house. Normally, I've always had rescues where I had no choice and they were altered when they were like babies, which can lead to behavioral problems and other health issues too. So they're for the first time now, I have my other boy, Tux. He is 4 and he's still an intact dog. So he's been doing great with still having hormones. This concept of altering your dog and now magically other behavioral problems magically go away, not going to really be helpful. Did not see that one. So if you're thinking that somehow taking away certain hormones are going to magically repair behavior that may have been practiced for years to months, it's more working on the behavior itself, not the hormones that are affecting everything that's happening. Hormones do, of course, play a role, like where if you had an intact female, she's going to be, again, a little bit different when she's in season versus not. And sometimes that can lead to, again, not behavioral problems, but maybe she has a harder time honing in, or she's not feeling her greatest. So she has maybe a moment where she's not as focused. So for an intact dog, male, sometimes they can be a little bit more aloof, or they may have a harder time if there's another intact male because of course, being animals, sometimes they do want to procreate and be the one that gets to do so. But typically, if you're thinking altering is going to sort of solve a behavior problem, it tends to not really do that all on its own. Nice. Yes. Good job. So this loose leash walking is looking gorgeous. And 2, you might even have it in the contract with your breeder. Some breeders now don't allow folks when they purchase a dog is to have them altered, at least for the girls, sometimes until their first heat. And then for the boys, same thing, like once they're like 18 to 24 months of age, depending on the breeder. Yes. Nice. It's looking really pretty. Beautiful. So you can see that, I'm not always looking directly down at her, because if you are feeling like you're getting very drunk looking down at your dog while working loose leash walking, I would recommend to pick a focal point, head towards it, and then capture the moments where your puppy is thankfully still by your side. If, let's say, they're getting a little bit tired, you could even do a little bit where you do a find it, get them up and take a little break. Keep meandering around and see if they come back into your space to find your side. Yes. And then feed for that placement back by your leg. Yes. So you can see that the rate of reinforcement right now is quite high, because I want to make sure that she thinks that there's a lot of great value in being by the crazy snack lady's leg. Yes. Then we could go into a little front. Nice. Oh my gosh, chew it first. Okay, better? Nice job. She's like, chewing's lame. You don't have to. So when working a little bit with that front, again, that's bringing the puppy from your side position back in front of you and sort of facing you. They could be also sitting. We're going to wait for those snacks to get gobbled up properly. Okay, much better. She's like, chewing is not a big deal. So from being in front of you, though, if you wanted to keep going on your merry way with your loose leash walking, it's going to be very hard to keep walking if the puppy's in front of you. So I would recommend to sometimes practice getting them back by the side position. It could be finish. It could be technically back into heel if they're on the left side. The slogan doesn't really matter as long as you guys feel like it makes sense to you. So for my guys, I normally call it finish, which is to get back into my side position. So, but whatever you want to call it, I normally will in the beginning just lure the puppy and then set them up by my leg again. Nice. So we might walk once more with the with me or let's go or heel, whatever slogan you like. And then we might go into a little front. She's like, how about your feet? And then feed for that. So even if my puppy is not sitting, I'm going to feed her for going into the front of my body and setting up in front of me. Let's say again, maybe hopefully I'm still in camera shot. I'll move over a little bit just in case because I can never remember where the camera picks me up better. So right here, let's say my puppy's in the front position or in front of your body, and you want to get them back into the side position. In the beginning, I would recommend to lure the puppy. You might even take a step and then bring her, she's like, did you throw it? Back into the side of your leg here. Nice. So even if it's not the most beautiful thing you've ever done, the main goal is you went from she was in front of you back to your side, and you can continue on your walk. Ready? Nice job. So again, just for an example, we might go and bring her into front. Yes. And then we can bring her to the side or finish. And so like right now, we're just luring the puppy. Eventually, you would just use your verbal or visual cues as well and get them to hone in on the task that you were hoping they'd be able to handle. So, but in the beginning, you're using food to, again, lure the puppy. You want to fade out the lure and start using just the verbal and visual cues. Oh my gosh, pooped out. So much hard work. So if, let's say, your puppy is not doing so hot, I would make sure that, again, we've started from the bare bones and built up and not expect the dog to magically, after 1 or 2 reps with being fed and lured through it, that they're going to magically do it with just a hand signal. So you'll have to start, again, fading out that food and fading out the lure being presented first. So then the food is given right as the skill or task is completed. So again, food right now is luring her into my side for that loose leash walking, but eventually we would fade out that hand. We could then start to just be walking. Yes, and we feed. So it's not the food that's keeping her attached. So it's not the food that's luring her to my side. As she is by the leg, she's like, I gotta get a drink, that's allowed. So or a morsel that was left over. So while she is, again, then back by the side position here with the loose leash walking, that's when I'm capturing those moments and feeding for where she's at position-wise. So, but maybe we'll give our gorgeous gal a little break from some of this loose leash walking and some of these gorgeous find its, but she's really doing a very nice job. What a smart girl. That was very pretty. So I'd love to try a little bit with her place behavior one more time and just see how she's coming along since last time too. We'll do a little find it for the gorgeous gal and give her a little break, and we'll rotate through some more skills. She's doing stellar. The brilliant girl.